Welcome in to Baxter Street Boys. I'm your host, Cole Wilcox, joined as always by my co-host, Jake Gordon, and our talentless producer, Griffin Rudy. We got a special one today coming at you. We got a new segment. We have riding the roller coasters of Cruton right now, which is, that's the only thing going on right now, so everybody's emotional. And then we got some SEC East preview. Going to see who the Dogs are up against this year. Got a lot of good stuff coming at you, but we just want to say thanks again for listening in. You guys are awesome. The interactions are great. Don't be afraid to subscribe to all the platforms and shout us out. Tell us what you think. But other than that, got a lot to get into, so let's get into it.
Now he's running over people. Oh, you hurt Walker.
There he goes in the corner again, and we jump up. Touchdown! Oh, God, a touchdown in the corner.
He just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. We just crushed their face.
Swift's got running room. Swift by the defense. 40, 30. They won't catch him. Go, Swift, into the end zone. Touchdown! The freshman just ran it back to Philadelphia. From 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Dogs win it. We're headed to Atlanta. Near sideline, and it's intercepted. Intercepted. Keely Ringo at the 21. Off he goes. 40, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30. Near sideline. Breaks the tackle. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Georgia.
I know I'm asking a lot, you guys, but hunker it down one more time.
Were either of y'all screaming, get down, when Keely caught that ball?
No, I was actually standing on a table at Bar South and I fell. I fell off the table. I didn't even know it was a pick six until like 5 minutes after it happened.
I was just freaking out.
I screamed, get down like twice, and then I was like, screw it, take it to the house. But boys, I got a new segment in the making here. I haven't prepped these guys at all for it. I don't have a good name for it yet. Maybe we can think of one afterwards. But Jake, you tweeted something that got me thinking the other day. You quote tweeted Blockbuster. Yes, that Blockbuster you're thinking of. And you said that you think it could possibly be successful due to nostalgia. So that got me thinking, and then it led to other things. So I got a couple would you rather or either or questions here that some are football, some are not. But the first one has to do with that. So gun to your head, you have to buy stock today in Blockbuster or Vine. Which one are you taking?
I would probably go Blockbuster because I feel like TikTok has become superior to Vine.
Yeah,
honestly.
I agree. Griff, you have a heavy lean?
I think I would take Vine, honestly. I feel like it was too iconic. I feel like people still watch Vines on YouTube.
My thing is,
I think it would overtake TikTok.
I don't think it would overtake TikTok, but I think you could do some things with Blockbuster. Like I think they could kind of get into the streaming game. There's already 12 different streaming platforms, so they might could do it. But do you think it's like long-term success could happen, Jake, or just quick nostalgia?
I feel like it would be cool to do like a couple times. Like if you put like, especially like near where we're from, where there's really not that much stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like if you just threw down a Blockbuster, like it could be like, oh yeah, let's go to the video store on Friday night like we used to when we were like 6 years old.
Every time I went to my Mimmy's house, we were Blockbuster.
Yeah, and everybody, it would be fun to do a couple times, and then you'd probably be like, okay, like I'm over.
Yeah, no, this sucks. I can do this at home. Yeah, for sure. Next one, a $1 million house on the beach or $1 million house on the lake?
Griff, you go first. I got to think about this one.
I think lake all day. I hate the beach. I hate the sand. Well, I don't hate the beach, but I couldn't live with the sand all the time. On the lake, for sure.
It depends what beach we're talking about. If we're talking like Isle of Palms, Charleston, like if I could pick that, I would probably say that. But yeah, I mean, you get $1 million lake house, that's going to be a lot more house than $1 million house on Isle of Palms. But
that's true. That's a good spin.
And I hate sand. I'm with Griff on that one. Sand is god awful. So I don't know. That was a tough one. I would probably go lake though.
Yeah, I'm a certified beach hater. So that was an easy question for me. Like I hate the beach. I think going to a public beach might be the worst spent time of all time. Loading up the truck, walking across the hot sand, it's miserable. Hate public beaches. If you're staying on the
back
beach, whatever,
is worse.
Yeah, exactly. Makes me sick thinking about it. All right, next one's a football one. You either get the choice of 2 1,000-yard receivers or 2 double-digit sack pass rushers. Which one are you taking?
I go pass rushers, no question.
I think I'm going to go receivers. That's just like way too flashy. That's so sick.
If I remember right, I forgot to do my homework here. Did Ajabo have double-digit sacks last year?
He did. I'm 99% sure he did.
So
I wanna say he
Alabama
like
had 2,000 yards. Michigan had, and they both made the playoffs. So I don't think you can go wrong either way. But yeah, I'm a big component of football still one up front. Like I think I'm taking the edges. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like that's more of a game changer if you have two double-digit sack guys. I feel like that's more like more playmaker opportunities, I guess you would say, like big moments over just getting 1,000 yards over a season. I don't know. That's just me.
Spin zone though, Georgia handled the edge rushers a lot better than they handled the 2,000-yard receivers.
That is true. That is true.
So that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I still think I lean edges, but I don't know. All right, this one kind of has me for a loop, and I heard it this week in a group message actually. So this is for a 5 handicap in golf. For those who don't know, that's shooting 5 over par on average. What is more likely for them, a hole-in-one or a bogey-free round?
Ooh. I don't know, man. That's a good. I mean, a hole-in-one is kind of like that's just like a lucky thing that can happen sometimes on a par 3. A bogey-free round, man. That is you are in the zone for 18 holes. A hole-in-one is just a lucky one-off thing. So I'll probably go hole-in-one.
Yeah, hole-in-one.
Yeah, I leaned hole-in-one after I thought about it because I was thinking that a 5 handicap has definitely shot even par multiple times, but not bogey-free. Like there's no way they're mixing in birdies and bogeys. I think I'm leaning hole-in-one there too. I don't know. I have to see the numbers. All right, this last one is probably the easiest one. Would you rather see Tom Brady throw a game-winning touchdown to Julio Jones or sit butt naked in a fire ant hill?
Was this all a setup just for this? I'm taking the second one.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'd sleep in the fire ant hill.
Yeah.
Dude, I went on a rant yesterday when I saw that. I'm not even gonna lie. I hope those texts never get released. But my buddy texted me and he said, "This is a free zone. Say whatever you want." He's a Jets fan, and I just unloaded.
I can't remember what I was doing, but I was not near Twitter or my phone, and then like somebody told me like 30 minutes after it happened, and I was like, "Well, I'm just definitely not checking my phone for like an hour and a half."
Disgusting. Yeah, and what was crazy was I pitched yesterday for the first time in years, so my testosterone was already pumping, and then I hear this news. It led to me rage quitting on Call of Duty for the first time in like 2 years. I straight up rage quit during the middle of a search and destroy game, and I think it had a combination of all that stuff. Just it made me want to throw up. And I saw that edit with them both. Gosh almighty.
My buddy actually made that too, which is unfortunate.
Dude, it seriously made me throw up. But yeah, I don't know a name for that segment. Maybe so like BSB RPO or something. But we'll mix that in every now and then. But yeah, the Blockbuster thing got me going. I'm interested to see what they do because that tweet was weird. It was like they're rising from the grave. So who knows?
Yeah, good luck with that. I guess I don't know if they put up a store, I'll go to it a few times. I can't promise
I'm not buying stock though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mentioned that everyone's riding the roller coaster of recruiting momentum or losses. I don't even want to talk about the losses because Kirby just had a week in recruiting that 99% of teams in the country would die for. He landed. Obviously, we didn't get to Jamal Jarrett last week. Landed a big time recruit there. I don't want to pronounce this guy's name wrong. The safety.
I did see he got his 5th star. I don't know how to pronounce it either. I did see he got his 5th star.
I don't want to pronounce it wrong. He's a baller though. Yeah. I think a Negro. I can't remember if the R is before the E or before the G or after the G.
It's after the G. It's at the end.
I think it's a Negro.
Jonel Aguero.
There we go. Aguero. Yeah, he's a baller. Dude's a beast. Kirby went up north to grab that boy. Obviously, we got Smith from Georgia, which is an area of need on the offensive line. And then just, we're recording this on Wednesday. So about an hour ago, we land Haynes from former Penn State commit who's got blazing speed at receiver. Do you think that Kirby tries to get all these guys to commit when he knows that he's lost a recruit just to kind of build the momentum back up? Is that a strategy?
I mean, I think it's definitely possible. I've never been in that room. I don't know what it's like. I'm big on the draft and stuff like that, but recruiting is way, way over my head, especially with NIL and stuff. But I definitely think that he knows that, he holds a certain power, and even a school like Penn State, where that's a really strong offer, he can go and take somebody from there. I think he's going to continue to get guys that he likes while he works to maybe potentially flip, somebody like Caleb Downs or somebody like that.
Yeah, just keep going. And I was really happy to see him land Smith because there was a lot of talk that Kirby's lost the state and this, that, and another. And people are kind of freaking out about that when, he has gone out of the state and got a lot of guys, which, you think about it, there turns out to be really, really good players. So you can say it's right or wrong or not, but being able to land a guy like that in state, then we have Nakar next class already committed in state. He hasn't lost the state, in my opinion. I think, and next year's class is really, really loaded in Georgia. So we'll see what happens there. But I think one thing I do need to say that just kind of a warning to Georgia fans a little bit is I know expectations have been raised, but you don't want to get to the point of entitlement where it becomes personal when somebody doesn't pick your team. Like, listen, the recruits owe us nothing as fans. They're not fans of our team as loyal as we are. They're not. Like, they're trying to do what's best for them. I just kind of keep it positive on Twitter, especially. They're 18-year-old kids, and they're just doing what's best for them, what they think is best. This is not personal to the fan base, I promise. In most cases, maybe so. I mean, Quay Walker chunking the Tennessee hat was fairly personal, but I'm all for it. That is BSB stamped. Griff, you have any of these guys that kind of stick out to you and you're kind of recruiting guy that you think can come in and impact quickly?
I mean, obviously, Jonel Aguero, I think that's how we say his name.
Yeah.
He's going to be a beast. I mean, huge talent, just got his 5th star. Jamal Jarrett, huge on defensive line. You know what we've been doing recently with defensive line guys, and
especially with the rotation.
Yeah,
he's going to play.
Yeah, and so that's a great pickup. Offensive line, KJ Smith, good pickup. We've had a lot of guys get drafted in the offensive line, so we obviously see the talent there very well. And then Kazid, that was a 3-star pickup, kind of under the radar thing. And he's got the speed. Like he's got the talent to be a guy who gets a lot of playing time and makes some plays for the Dogs.
Yeah, I see him being a pretty heavy riser. I'm on the recruiting rankings and stuff too. Just that type of skill set, being 6'3" and that fast, is something you don't get to see often. But let's preview the SEC East, which in my opinion is a division that's kind of on the rise a little bit. I think there's some momentum being carried by some of the teams that have been dormant for a while. But let's start with this, because I think we all agree that Georgia's going to go 8-0, correct, in the SEC East.
Easy.
Before we get into that, Griff, you made our QB ranking graphic.
Oh yeah,
I almost forgot. Can't forget this. It was awesome. It got a lot of interaction on Twitter. A lot of people calling us stupid, which is exactly what we wanted. It was great. But the funniest part to me was I texted Griffin after it was released, and I was laughing. I was like, dude, you did exactly what you're called for. Like, you got the momentum going with Stetson at number 1. And he acted like he had no idea what I was talking about. He was dead serious. Griff, is Stetson Bennett the best quarterback in the league?
Dude, this year, I think he can be. I think he will be. We've got way too much talent on the field offensively for him to not be one of the top 10 QBs in college football. And, why not be number 1? He's the only quarterback in college football right now who has a national championship under his belt as a starter. Yeah, Bryce Young's got one or whatever. Some Alabama fan were commenting that. Yeah, that does not count. He was the backup. He did not play. That does not count. All right. So, I just don't see any reason why. And then our boy Wash Rick on Twitter is just coming out here. He is a Stetson hater, bro. And I'll never get it. I'll never understand the Stetson hate, because this dude played his heart out for Georgia for every game that he's walked onto the field. And this year, even when he wasn't the presumed starter all year, he still played as good as he could every game. And it won us a national championship. Why are we hating on this guy? I can't understand it. And people are saying he's not a big playmaker, all types of things. He made the biggest play in the history of Georgia football. The touchdown throw to Adonai Mitchell in the national championship game is without a doubt the biggest play in the history of Georgia football. Without that play, we do not win a national championship, and we're still in a 42-year drought. So,
Love it, Griff. Say it with your chest, baby.
Yeah, I will.
Shout out, Wash Rick, though. I respect a good hater. I feel like I'm a certified hater. I respect the passion. So shout out, keep it up. Don't keep your foot on the gas. Jake, anything stick out to you in the comment section on the quarterback stuff?
You thought I read the comment section?
Yeah.
I did not read the comment section. No, I did not. Absolutely not.
You're more of a Twitter vet than I am.
Yeah.
I had somebody come at me for Brennan Armstrong, which I said in a quote tweet that it hurt me leaving him off. He's a quarterback for Virginia, for people who don't know, and he's awesome. I love Brennan Armstrong. I took the over on 1,000 Virginia games. So I love the guy. Here's my reasoning. I said I'd take my reasoning on here. I'll make it quick. New head coach, new OC, 5 new offensive linemen. 5. You can't throw the ball if you're on your back. And I know he plays in the worst conference. Can we agree that AC Coastal is the worst conference or division in football?
It's
a joke. So I don't know how much pass rush he's going to face, but it doesn't matter who it is. He got 5 new offensive linemen. So that's the reason. It has nothing to do with him and his talent. I love Brennan Armstrong. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback.
I want to bring something up about Virginia real quick. I actually hold a special hate for Virginia for at least like a few more months. I'm still going to be mad about this. So I was in this contest at school, and you won like a signed Georgia football helmet if you had like the best college pick'em record. I came out of I was like middling around 500. I came out of nowhere the past 3 weeks and like laid off like 12-0, like 11-1, like 12-0. Last week I go 12-1. And the reason I lost is because Virginia blew like a 3 touchdown lead to Virginia Tech in the fourth quarter. I don't even know if he was playing in that game, but I'm still mad at Virginia football overall. So I don't care what they have to say. They owe me a helmet. That's really what I'm getting to.
Brennan Armstrong was not going to be on your list regardless.
No.
Their defense was putrid. It made me want to throw up, but it made for fun games. Okay, so that's our quarterback talk. I thought it went really well. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the league this year. I think it's going to be a fun year for the Arms. Last year it seems like a little bit of a down year. You saw that in the draft, but I think quarterbacks are on the rise this year. So we'll see. Might hit a few of them on this SEC's preview we're getting into. Let's start with Vanderbilt. Do y'all have anything pressing to say about Vanderbilt?
I think they get 3 wins. There you go.
What's the total, Griff? Give us the
over. And the over-under is 2.5 at like plus 115, I think, or something like that.
You get
so some pretty nice odds there.
I looked at their schedule, and they play like 3 like laughers. I'm pretty sure they do play like 3 joke games.
That's what I was going to say about Vanderbilt. Listen, I mean, no disrespect to Vanderbilt. We're not going to spend a lot of time on you. You have no chance to win the East, regardless of what the one guy voted. They always play a sick non-conference schedule. It's so random. The game that has me foaming at the mouth about this college football season, Vanderbilt at Hawaii, week 0, 10 o'clock. That's like the sickest gambling game of all time. So
I can't wait.
And then they go to Wake the next week, or maybe they got home against Wake. So they play a sick non-conference schedule. That's really all I really got to say about them.
I think they play 2 FCS teams too, and I think the Hawaii is supposed to be pretty bad. I had a whole conversation with somebody about
double digits.
Hawaii is for Vanderbilt.
I think it's 7. I think Vanderbilt's favored by 7.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's favored. So
okay, well, if Vanderbilt's favored against them, they cannot be good. So that's all I got. Anyways, I don't want to beat up on poor old Vanderbilt, man. Let's keep it pushing.
Right. Yeah, I wrote my notes. If they get one SEC game, successful season. So
I think so. Vanderbilt. Honestly, 100%.
Good luck, Vanderbilt. Let's move into Missouri, who I planned on coming in to spend about the same amount of time we did talking about them as Vanderbilt. Missouri has some sneaky talking points. Griff, what's their over/under in wins?
It is 5.5. So if you think they're going
eligible,
then
Jake, what you got on Missouri?
I think Eli Drinkwitz is a good coach. I don't know if he's a great coach, but I think he's a good coach for like Missouri and their standards. I don't think he's bad at all. He's probably not going to be Gary Pinkel for him, but I don't think Missouri's awful, but they're definitely not. Like when somebody says like who's going to win the SEC, they're in like the bottom 3 or 4.
Yeah, for sure. Here's a question: has Drinkwitz taken over as the goofiest coach in the SEC after Dan Mullen's out?
He's up there.
He's close. Up there. He's at least close. Here, one thing about Missouri is the thing that popped out to me is they have 19 incoming transfers. 19. So you can't pinpoint a specific on them because you have no idea what that's going to look like. The one thing that really, really pops is their receivers. Like they have a solid group of receivers. Mookie Cooper and Dominic Lovett have both played meaningful snaps and have got a lot of catches, and they're pretty impactful players. The one that'll hit home on this podcast is Luther Burden, a guy that we missed. He stayed home. He's from St. Louis, 5-star wide receiver. He'll be a freshman this year, and they're expecting really, really big things out of him. The problem is they got to figure out who's playing quarterback. Their old quarterback transferred to where'd he go?
Couldn't tell you.
I think a Big 12 school. But he's gone. So they got to find somebody to throw the ball to him, but they have a solid group of wide receivers that can make some plays. So who knows? I think
they returning 8 starters on defense. I mean, that's
right.
pretty solid.
Yeah, I think the big game for them is at K-State week 2. Like that'll kind of tell us like what's going to happen with them. That's a game where they're probably better than Kansas State. Kansas State's usually pretty good. I think Missouri should be more talented. They had a good recruiting class. So if they can win that game and get the ball rolling, who knows what they can do in the SEC.
Yeah, if Deuce Vaughn for Kansas State runs all over them, they're probably going to have trouble in the SEC this year. He transferred to Indiana.
Okay, Big Ten. Yeah, Connor Basley, who was like the future of Missouri for a while. Like they were all in on him.
Him and Matty Mock.
Yeah. Griff, you got anything on Missouri?
Yeah, I mean, in my rankings, I do have them finishing over Florida. So, I mean, that's really all that I got. I think they're going to be better than Florida.
Over under 5.5.
I'd have to look at their schedule.
Yeah.
That's tough. They're going to be right on the edge of that, I think.
Yeah. That Kansas State game might decide it too.
Yeah, that was my notes. If they win that, over. If they don't, under. That's such a cheesy
because they're going to get.
It's like,
probably going to
get. I see the whole season, but
yeah, they're probably going to get 2 layup games, maybe even 3, and then they got Kansas State, and they're going to beat Vanderbilt, and then all you got to do is get one more win.
Yeah, so they could. They could. We'll see what happens. So let's get into teams that have a legit that have a legit chance here. Some may say. Let's start with Kentucky. Hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not extremely high on, but I put them second in the SEC East because they have the most favorable schedule of anyone else in the SEC East among contenders. That's why I have them there. Jake, you had Will Levis on your list. You expect him to live up to the hype that he's kind of coming into the season with?
I think he already kind of has. I mean, even if you go watch that Georgia game last year, which I was watching in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, sitting in the sports book, I placed a responsibly large bet on us. Man, Levis, I mean, even against Georgia's pass rush, man, he was stepping up in the pocket, delivering the ball, and he didn't look scared, not even for a second. And I think he's only going to improve this year. The only problem is he's lost so much. He's going to lose 4 longtime starters on his offensive line. And I was just looking this up. Did they ever get this thing figured out with Chris Rodriguez as far as his eligibility?
I'm not for sure if they settled that yet. I've heard that it's trending that he's going to be chilling, but I'm not 100% sure.
It says June 7th, positive update on. Okay, so let's just assume he's playing. He's a really good player. They are losing Wan'Dale Robinson, who I thought was one of the best players, most underrated players in college football last year.
Baller.
And, you know, we saw him last year, 24 touchdowns, 13 picks, 66%. So those are okay. I think those numbers are going to go up, even with a reduced, a little bit less talented cast. I just like Levis. I like his attitude. I've listened to interviews with him. He seems like a really good guy. He seems like he has a good handle on that program. So I'm buying Will Levis this year.
Okay. I, for one, am not. I could be wrong. I don't know. I just, like you said, the offensive line scares me, stuff like that. Who knows? But obviously they lost Wan'Dale and they lost Josh Pascal and Marquand McCall on the other side of the ball, who were both really, really good players. So they got to replace that. They do have 3 fifth-year linebackers coming back, which I feel like I love linebackers. Personally, I'm a big linebacker guy, so I feel like those are kind of the leaders of the defense. You get 3 fifth-year seniors back, that's a good place to build, at least. I have their key games at Ole Miss and at Tennessee. They got to win one of those 2 to get second in the East. Preferably Tennessee for them to get second in the East. But nobody really knows what to get out of Ole Miss and Tennessee. We'll talk about them later. But those are 2 of the games they need to circle because the rest of their schedule is pretty favorable other than Georgia.
Florida will be a pretty interesting test for them as well. And I mean, even Georgia, they get Georgia at home.
Yeah. Griff, anything on Kentucky? What's their over-under?
It is 7.5. So that's
scary.
8 wins. I mean, I think they could definitely do that.
I figured it'd be set higher. That's kind of that kind of turns me off a little bit. Vegas always knows something.
Yeah, no, true. I mean, I've got them at finishing 3rd, and I don't know. Like I don't know about Will Levis or not. Like he's definitely got like those intangible things. Yeah. Like he's got the size and the arm strength, but
tangibles.
Yeah, and tangibles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think he's definitely a big best football is ahead of him guy. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but
I mean, if he plays into that, Kentucky will hit this over pretty easily.
He's going to be the straw that stirs that drink. It's really like we're talking about. Are you buying Kentucky? Are you buying Will Levis or not? And I'm buying Will Levis.
Which drink is he stirring? The mayonnaise and coffee, or that was disgusting. I couldn't even watch that video. But yeah, Kentucky, I still think finishes second in the East, just because of their schedule. I'll leave it at that. I still don't think they're going to be that great. All right, let's move on to our favorite team here, the Florida Gators. The Florida Gators are a lot less hateable this year. They're always hateable. They'll always be top scale hateable. It's dropped down like a peg without Dan Mullen. They're still hateable. I'm sure as soon as the season starts, I want them to lose every game. But let's just start there. Brand new staff. Always going to be growing pains with the brand new staff. What area are you most concerned about, Jake?
I'm trying so hard not to troll right now and say quarterback, but I actually do think Anthony Richardson is a decent player.
Yeah.
But I think it's the defense, man. I mean, you talk about your returning 8 starters. Yeah, Sanford put up, 650 yards on you. I'm not moved by Brenton Cox. I'm really not moved by a lot of guys they have on that side of the ball. And I know you're returning a lot of starters, but I think this is going to be a pretty average season for Florida. But if they win 6 or 7 games under a new staff, I think that's still a success.
Yeah, and they think Gervon Dexter is better than Jalen Carter. Like there's seriously people out there that's tweeting ridiculous things like that. Like, obviously coming from orange and blue people, but they, like you said, none of us put AR-15. Nope, sorry, AR-15. That's no longer his nickname. I don't know what it is anymore. Anthony Richardson.
A-15. None
of us put him on our list. And like you said, he's got the talent to do it. Like he could legitimately be a top 5 pick if he popped. But they got a receiver transfer from Arizona State, Ricky Pearsall. They don't return a whole lot on offense. They got to replace Damian Pierce, who was actually a good running back.
I don't know why Dan Mullen never played him. By the way, I said that all year last year. He got like 80 carries or something.
Here's what happened with Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen turned it in. He turned it in halfway through the season. Listen, if he really wanted to save his job, he could have played the Anthony Richardson card, waited till after Georgia and been like, yeah, but wait, look who we have coming up. And then played him against the teams they played at the end of the year. Play him against Florida State. Let him go crazy in those games. No. He started him against the best defense in college football history, at least recent college football history, and just threw him to the wolves. That's how you knew Dan Mullen had turned it in by the end of last year. And so I think that answers a lot of questions about why Dan Mullen did whatever. But that blew my mind when he said he was starting against us. That was nuts. He could have held that card in his back pocket.
Well, that was probably what he was trying to do, as in, okay, well, I think this kid is literally my only prayer of actually winning this game. So,
yeah, that's true. But Griff, what's their over under?
It is 7. So
under.
I mean,
I'll take 6.
I think 6 for them. I mean, I think they're finishing 6 in the East. So.
Well, they get Florida State. That's a W. I look, as much as I detest Florida, they should still beat Florida State, who is a huge mess right now. And then you think you got Vanderbilt, and then you look at Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Vandy. I think they can win 2 of those games.
Yeah.
So it's 4. It's going to be close. I can tell you that much. It's going to be right around 6 or 7.
Yeah, Brooks made a point. Utah's a tough start. Utah's housing them week 1. I'm willing.
I believe the same.
I'm willing to move money on that one. That's a game that's going to be completely brutal for them. I know Utah coming to the swamp is going to be brutal for them. Trust me, I'm in Florida now. It is terribly hot, but I think Utah is way better than them. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. All right, these last 2 teams, I'm excited to talk about these next 2 teams because, in my opinion, we're about to see who's next up in the East between these 2. So
by next up, we mean second place.
Right.
Let's get that clear.
Yeah, absolutely. Competing for second place. Let's start in Columbia. I, for one, am a huge Beamer fan. I think he's awesome. I think just the way he approaches everything, I think he's a good coach. That's obviously remained to be seen, but they have pieces. They have pieces there to make some noise. The only problem is they have to run a gauntlet. I think that's the one thing that can hold them back. Jake, what do you need to see from South Carolina?
We keep talking about South Carolina. Let's be honest. We're talking about Spencer Rattler here.
Yeah.
And I'm not buying Spencer Rattler in any way, shape, or form. I've stood on this take many times, so I guess I'm married to it now. What are we talking about here? We're talking about a guy who got benched in the most quarterback-friendly offense in the country against Big 12 competition. I watched his film. he will break plays on his own volition multiple times for no reason. He will pass up 10-yard gains for the big play. He plays hero ball like nobody I've ever seen in my life. It is painful to watch. If you're a coach, it's got to drive you insane. And if he can play within a system and South Carolina has a really good season this year, that will say way more about Shane Beamer than it does about anything else. And I think that is a true testament of him being a great coach. If he can actually reel in Spencer Rattler and get him to play within his system. And honestly, that's what Rattler needs to do too, because he was talking about as a potential number 1 pick last year. And I promise you, he may not have went. He might not have gotten drafted if he went in the draft that last year.
Yeah, he's he's ultra talented. That's where you got to start. He's just mega arm, like you said. He's got some things to work on. You look at the quarterbacks that Lincoln Riley produce. I mean, they're making Kyler Murray watch film for 4 hours in his contract. They're not. I feel like they're not asked to do that much at Oklahoma in terms of reading a defense and just kind of soaking in all the football things that you need, like a base to move on to the NFL. They're just really good players. I mean, Kyler Murray, I've blamed Cliff the entire time. He just drops back, steps a few steps, and takes off out of the pocket. So whether that's him not being able to read a defense, I don't know. I don't know if that stems from Lincoln Riley or what. But, yeah, I'm interested to see what Rattler does at South Carolina. He's got some guys to throw the ball to. I think everybody remembers Van and Joyner from last year for Georgia. I mean, they were like 2 of the only receivers to cut some big plays on us before Bama. I think those are 2 guys who can make some plays in the back end, and they have Jaheim Bell, who South Carolina fans will tell you is Brock Bowers level. He's not, but he's very, very good. I mean, he's a freak. So they have some
Stogner
guys
too, didn't they? From Oklahoma, was it Stogner? It was one of those tight ends they had.
Yes. They have pass catchers. They have a veteran O-line. They need to improve. They're coming back. Doesn't mean just because they're returning doesn't mean they're always good. So they'll have to improve there.
They lost both backs. They lost Harris and Zaquandre White, so that's a lot they'll be missing too, because those guys in that bowl game were they were carrying the rock. And
they lost Enoch Bear, who is a freak coming off the edge. He's a really, really good player. So they have to replace that. They had a sneaky good defense last year, but a lot of that had to do with them getting beat down a lot and then running the ball. Like they were the number 1 passing defense in the SEC or something, like top 3, because nobody passed against them in the second half hardly. So a lot of misleading stats on the defense, a lot of unknowns. They got a guy that I think you should keep an eye on. His name is Zach Pickens, coming off the edge. Pretty talented guy. So we'll see what they got there. But Griff, what's their over-under?
It is 6. Yeah, 6.
Ooh, I like over on that. I think they can win.
Yeah,
I think
I took that yesterday.
But man, this schedule is brutal.
They also have Clemson. I know that's
well.
one of their
the
games
teams
for
they
sure.
draw out of the West is tough too. They go to Arkansas week 2, and they get A&M at home in October.
Yeah, those
like
are
it's a tough schedule. The only gimme on their schedule is Georgia State and Charlotte, and obviously Vanderbilt. Other than that, like it's tough games. They get us at home. They go to Arkansas, to Kentucky, Tennessee at home, A&M at home. Like it's the only thing that's holding them back, in my opinion, this year is their schedule. So they could win 7 games and be a really, really good team. So,
Griff, you got any thoughts on them?
Yeah, I mean, I like South Carolina a lot. I have them finishing 2nd in the East this year because, I mean, like, I think that Shane Beamer, I like Shane Beamer a lot. And I think that he's building a culture at South Carolina, and I think he has the ability to reel in Spencer Rattler. And then when that happens, they're going to be, like, a really good football team. And also, I think that part of it might just be, like, the stigma that South Carolina left on me and, like, some of the earlier years or before Kirby Smart of, Mark Richt just getting hammered by them all the time. And so I think part of it might be that. And like, I still think that they're like a sleeping giant a little bit, but no, I think they're going to be really good. And I think it's probably bold to say that they're going to finish 2nd, but I wanted to come with a little bit of a bold take. And so I feel like that fills it.
I'll reel you in on really good, but I do think they could be. I think they could be a good team, and they could definitely upset an Arkansas or an A&M or somebody like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that Arkansas South Carolina game will be one to watch for sure. Week 2. There's a lot of good games week 2, but that's one I'll keep my eye on. I'm going to hold what I think their most important game is till the team we talk about next, because as you can guess, it's that one, and I want to talk about it later. But any last thoughts on Arkansas or South Carolina before we move on?
Nope.
Good.
Tennessee, who everyone knows I'm a certified hater of Tennessee. I'm going to try my best not to be. I'm taking my haterness out of this segment. Tennessee fans have convinced themselves they are a 10-win team. They legitimately have a case at having the hardest schedule in the entire country. It's brutal. The road games they have are brutal. They get Georgia and Bama every year, obviously. But before we get into all that, let's talk about their team as a whole. Obviously, the big names they're returning are Hendon Hooker and Tillman, the receiver. Cedric Tillman, two guys who are very good football players who are game changers. Anything else stick out to you about Tennessee, Jake?
Yeah, I just want to see if this offense is going to work again in year two. And I'm not saying it's a gimmick or anything, but coaches are going to make adjustments. You know, they got a few licks in on Georgia, at least early in the game. You know, they had a busted play in that first drive. They should have scored. I can't remember who busted the coverage, but you know, they missed a touchdown on that first drive. They could have struck first against Georgia. But I'm going to go ahead and say it now. Tennessee either is going to be a 10-win team or they're going to be the biggest joke in college football, and people are going to be running them up all week for all the talking they've been doing this offseason. I tend to think they'll be closer to a 9 or 10-win team. I do think they're going to have a good season. But the question is, after that, what's it going to look like? Because they're getting a lot of hype, especially with Nico coming in and all that. But I don't know. I don't see Tennessee as a threat to Georgia. I think Georgia will handle them in Athens. But I don't buy a lot of the, you know, Tennessee could win the East stock. Not
right. Well, before you go, Griff, people think that when you return your quarterback, it just feels like you return everybody. You know, they lost a lot of guys. Matthew Butler on the D-line, Alontae Taylor on the edge, Theo Jackson, Velus Jones, pass catchers. Really, really good players that they lost. And all drafted, all NFL players. They've got pieces to replace. It ain't like they're returning everyone from a team that if you just listen to their fans, won 10 games. They won 7. They went 7-6. They're almost 500. It was a good place to start. Like, it was a great place to start for Heupel. But I have my thoughts on that. Griff, before I go ahead. What you got on Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, Jake, you won't call their offense gimmicky, but I will. I think that I just think it's such a gimmick. I just don't think that it's like an offense that can win real football games. Like, you know, yeah, you may score in a minute and make a big play, but what happens when you go 3 and out in 20 seconds and your defense has got to walk back out there and stop somebody like Georgia who's just running the ball down your throat for 5 minutes every drive? I mean, it's not sustainable. And until they figure out something defensively, I just don't think it's going to work out.
Well, the 30-second 3 and outs are brutal on a defense. Like, you're setting yourself up for failure there. So you've got a game plan for that. Like, you can't go 15, 20-second 3 and outs in the SEC and expect to get any stops ever. So that's what's tough. What I want to talk about is the game in Columbia in November. I think that is the biggest game of the SEC East this year. Mostly because I think Georgia's going 8-0. We've already said that. I think this game could determine who is, because they both are teams with rising momentum. They're recruiting better. I just think that this game will kind of determine who gets that momentum and who really grabs it. It's going to be a big recruiting game for South Carolina. They're going to have a ton of recruits there. November, Tennessee coming to town, an electric atmosphere. I think the winner of that game can really, really carry some momentum into next year and on the recruiting trail. I think that's a huge game. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it could decide second in the East if you know, Kentucky doesn't live up to their billing. So, and I mean, that's going to be who's going to be getting the hype next year as well, because Georgia will get South Carolina at home and then at Tennessee again, and there will be some chatter with that, like, oh, can you know, South Carolina go into Athens and upset, or is Tennessee going to get Georgia at home? So we'll see. Yeah.
Griffin, I want the solo shot here. I got a message to Tennessee fans. Here's this is all hater aside. Listen, Tennessee fans are setting themselves up for failure for the reasons I just talked about. You're expecting 10 wins. If you told them right now they're going 8-4, they'll tell you on the outside, no, that'd be great. It'd be a great stepping stone. Inside, they're pissed. Nah, we're winning 10 games. We're winning 10 for sure. Let's just give them 2 losses to Georgia and Alabama. Some would disagree, but we're going to do it for argument's sake. Georgia and Bama loss. To win 9 games or better, you're asking them to go 4-1 and better in these games. At Pitt and Heinz Field, or used to be Heinz Field. Home against Kentucky. Home against Florida. At LSU. At South Carolina. 4-1 in those. Are they capable of doing it? Probably. Is it likely? No. I know for a fact they're underdogs against Pitt right now. It's a pick 'em against LSU. And I think South Carolina in November is going to be brutal. I'm glad we have them week 2. So I'm just saying, if Tennessee wins 8 games this year, I think that signifies they're a good team with this schedule. I really, really do. I think that means they're good. Just because your schedule's 8-4, they're not all created the same. Texas Tech going 8-4 is not the same as Tennessee going 8-4 with this schedule. So I would just say temper your expectations a little bit. You don't have to do it all the way. You can still expect 10 games, but I don't think it's a failure if they win 8 games, is all I'm saying. I think it's a good stepping stone for Heupel. So that's all I got on that. But anything, what's their over-under, Griff?
It is 8.
Oof, I like them like right at 8.
Exactly.
I feel like that's
Yeah,
I feel like that's a
I
good
don't
number.
like over on that. I don't like under either, really necessarily.
Yeah,
but
exactly. I think an 8-win season is good for them with this schedule. It's going to be a tough one. But that is the SEC East. Like we said, I think Georgia handles all these teams fairly easily. We can see obviously things can change, but I think it's a division that's on the rise, like we said. But that is this week's episode. Appreciate you guys listening in. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for stuff throughout the week. Ultra content. We got some more things coming out. So appreciate you guys. Go Dogs. Have a good week.